This is a CBS News special report. I'm Nora O'Donnell with John Dickerson, Gail King, and Bianna Golodriga in New York. The Senate has just voted to end debate on Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination. That keeps Republican leaders on track to hold a final confirmation vote early tomorrow evening. The procedural vote ended 51-49, with one Republican voting no. That's Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and one Democrat voting yes, Joe Manchin of West Virginia. It's an important indication of Judge Kavanaugh's support going into the final vote.
The nominating process has been delayed for a week because of the FBI inquiry into allegations that Kavanaugh sexually assaulted one woman in high school and exposed himself to another in college. Republican Senate leaders say the FBI interviews failed to turn up any evidence to support the charges. Senate Democrats complained that the probe was too narrow and failed to interview a number of potentially important witnesses.
So what's interesting about this is those four senators who we were watching, right? They have moved forward. The only one that voted, the only Republican that voted no was Murkowski. That suggests she might vote no in this final vote, and we still don't know yet how perhaps Senators Flake or Senator Collins will vote ultimately about whether he should advance.
That's right. This ended debate, but it ended the interminable debate of a filibuster. There will still be discussion and conversation before that early evening vote tomorrow, and those three other senators, other than Murkowski, could all vote no on the final vote on Kavanaugh. This is just the vote to keep the process going. So we get an indication on Murkowski, as you said, Nora, but we don't know about those other three.
But it makes me think about that picture, guys, that we saw last week with Dianne Feinstein and Lisa Murkowski, where she had her
hand up against the wall, right?
Cornered against the wall because she ended up voting no. And I'd be curious to see what went into Susan Collins' thinking and Jeff Flake, because they were clearly on the fence. I wonder what was something that tipped them over.
Well, Susan Collins has said that she, after reading the FBI inquiry, that she saw there was no additional evidence and corroborating evidence for the Dr. Ford, the incident that Dr. Ford described.
And that became the big debate amongst Democrats and Republicans. Democrats said that there were still a lot more questioning and this was an insufficient report. Republicans, for the most part, said that they were satisfied walking away from it. Also have to take into account whether or not Brett Kavanaugh's op-ed last night in the Wall Street Journal made any sort of impact and difference, where he didn't say, I'm sorry, but he said, listen, I got a bit too emotional, and that's not in my character.
And we still, again, won't know until that final vote, because it is possible still for a senator to say, yes, I wanted the conversation to continue. I was still making up my mind. I didn't want to stop the Senate from going forward, but now in the end, here's my final evaluation on
I'm very curious, John, about Joe Manchin. He was literally hunted by reporters yesterday, and every time they caught up to him, he said, I don't know, I'm still thinking, I have to go back and read it again. What do you think?
Well, Joe Manchin is a Democrat from the state of West Virginia, a state that voted for President Trump by more than 20 points.
Every county for Trump.
Yes, every county. And he is up for re-election. He's the former governor of that state. He knows the politics of his state, and he is in many ways a guy who says, I got to represent the people who voted me into office, and he has a tough re-election. So I think he voted in terms of the way he thinks people will vote for him. Yeah.
And if you are ultimately going to vote no, you've got to make it look like it was close. You can't be saying, I don't even want to talk about it, which is what this vote would have been signaling for those three. So if you're on the fence, you want to still have the conversation.
And it's important to take a step back and see what has transpired within this past week. Remember, Jeff Flake last week said, let's put the brakes on this. We need an FBI investigation. Right. Many people were startled to hear that from him. Many Republicans, that having been said, many now are saying, you know what, he may have very well saved the party because they now at least have cover when it comes to saying we had an FBI investigation.
That political cover. One still outstanding thing, this final vote, and also Senator Susan Collins, a key Republican vote, will announce at 3 o'clock today how she plans to vote on the final vote, which will come, as John mentioned, tomorrow. Coverage will continue throughout the day on your local news and this CBS station. We've also got more, of course, on our 24-hour streaming network, CBSN. They've got lots of news and analysis there.
What an emotional debate this has been. I mean, you see that these undecided senators needed security. They're getting death threats. You see people that are really emotional on both sides.
I was going to say that on both sides. I think it's been very draining and very frightening on both sides. And there are arguments to make on both sides of this debate. It's been very heated and it's been very, very intense.
And we're going to see more heat on the Senate floor as they have these, as they talk between now and the ultimate vote. I think we're going to see people say things that will be at the upper end of the register that we're used to expecting from the Senate and senators.
What do you think it's going to be like, guys, for Joe Manchin as a Democrat?
Tough. No matter which way he goes, it's going to be tough from this very minute until Election Day.
Yeah. What does he say to his colleagues now that, you know, he's the only Democrat so far who's
working on those remarks now?
That's right. That's right.
This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Nora O'Donnell with Bianca Golodriga, John Dickerson, and Gail King. CBS News, New York.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com.